welcome to another episode of Season 2 of Entrepreneurs in Fuego. We're documenting the journey of incredible entrepreneurs such as Mr. Jase Steinberg, attorney at law.
That's correct.
How you doing, my
Good,
man?
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, nice to meet you. Tell us a little bit more about your specialty, your field of where you practice law.
Well, I do a lot of commercial litigation, business law issues. I've helped a lot of large corporations, small businesses, entrepreneurs, individuals with their business needs, including a lot of contract law issues, a lot of real estate issues over the years, and just a lot of just general business litigation and transactional support. So I've tried to pretty much in the corporate business milieu help people solve their legal problems so they can help succeed in business.
And you said solve the legal problems, but sometimes you can prevent somebody from having a legal problem if you prepare a contract that will address perhaps some of the things that we may not think of as lay people that could show up if we enter into a long-term relationship with a partner.
Well, and that's very true. You know, the challenge about drafting contractual negotiations, drafting the language for a contract is that, and this is one of the reasons why you and your viewers and everyone will see, a lot of contracts drafted by lawyers are so long, so tedious to read. Sure. And the reason is because the idea of a contract is to really negotiate the terms, to allocate the risk among the parties about who's going to perform, how things are going to be done, what's going to happen if things don't occur as anticipated. And so there's a lot of risk allocation involved. And part of your job as an attorney and certainly as a negotiator, as a business person, is to try and envision how, for the length of the contract, whether it's a 3-year contract, a 5-year contract, some contracts last 30, 40, 50 years. I've seen, the Panama Canal was a 100-year lease from the United States government from Panama. So there are some arrangements that last for a really long period of time, and it's hard to know sitting here in 2016 what the environment is even going to look like in 2030, 2040, 2050, let alone 6 months from now or a year from now. And so part of our job as negotiators and as drafters of contractual language is just try and anticipate as many issues as possible down the road. What's going to happen if there's bad weather? What's going to happen if somebody dies? What's going to happen if the law changes? What's going to happen if interest rates, whatever the issues are in your contract, and you try and write them into the contract. Well, in this contingency, this is going to happen. In that contingency, that is going to happen. And you try and you try and and you try and envision as many of them as you can, and therein lies the length of the contract. And no matter how hard you try, you're never going to figure them all out. And
not at all, because look, a contract that was written 20 years ago, just 20 years ago, perhaps didn't anticipate the advent or the explosion of the internet as we know it. And from a contractual point of view, if the internet didn't exist, 20, 25 years ago as we know it today, how could you write it into the contract, right? How can you write for that contingency?
You just can't anticipate. One of the things that, there's a convention in the law that certain types of contracts need to be in writing, or certain affirmations need to be in writing. Well, let me ask you a question. Is an email a writing? Is typing an email and sending it, is that a writing for purposes of the law? And there's actually been case law, there's been analysis. I think that over the years, there's been the courts are moving towards the idea more universally that yes, if you send an email, we're going to deem that to be effectively the equivalent of writing, of what we used to call writing something down on a piece of paper. I don't know that that's universally the case, but I think that we're sort of moving to that conception because the primary goal of the statutes that required certain documentation or certain agreements to be in writing was that there be some sort of memorialization to prevent, sort of fraud or mistake or the other kinds of things that can happen in certain types of contracts, like real conveyance of real property, for example. And I think that the courts are starting to apply that same sort of analysis of, well, it's an email, it's recorded, it's there, it's preserved for posterity. So yeah, I mean, that's just one example of many of how the law permutates, and you just can't anticipate what's going to happen down the road.
Entrepreneurs in Fuego was about your journey, and you came in from working in corporate America for a large firm, and now you're on your own man.
That is true. It's been quite an adjustment.
So what happens? What happens? Take me to that moment where you say, you know what, I like being in this a part of this great law group and everything else, but I think I want to be my own man. How did that transition happen?
I think it's probably the same sort of mindset that a lot of entrepreneurs have, which is, I'm at a job. It's a comfortable job. It's a well-paying job. I have elite clients. I have an elite address downtown. I have all of these things going for me. But to a certain extent, I was constrained in what I could do on a day in and day out basis. The firms have their own marketing agenda, their own corporate agenda, and to the extent that you can fit within that, they will give you freedom to do that. But to the extent that you just want to step out and chart your own course and focus your business on local clients, for example, or helping Scottsdale small businesses or Phoenix small businesses, or working on whatever the case may be, land use issues in Arizona. If to the extent that that's not consistent with a corporate vision, that sort of creates a conflict, whereas out on your own, I can set the agenda, I can decide which clients to take, which clients not to take. There are all kinds of issues that anytime you have sort of a large company, there's sort of an inertia in terms of movement of the agenda, of everything that goes on.
And the politics of it, of course.
Of course. I mean, it's not uncommon at a large law firm, and probably at a lot of other large businesses where there will be conflicts among clients, and the firm will have to decide we can go with client A or client B, but we can't have them both for conflict of interest reasons. And then somebody's going to win, and whoever is generating the business for client A versus the winner, the business generator for client B, there's going to be a winner and a loser, and somebody's going to be unhappy. And so that kind of thing goes on all the time. When you work for yourself, the buck stops with you.
And it stops with you, but now you wind up wearing the hats that you never had to wear during your corporate stint, right? Now,
absolutely.
Now you're the marketer, now you're the accountant, now you're everything.
I'm the
attorney.
I'm the attorney, I'm the marketer, I'm the ethics compliance person, I'm the invoicer, I'm the accountant, I'm the runner and the secretary. So pretty much everything that I took for granted, having other people do for me in the practice.
At the end of the day, is it rewarding?
Of course it's rewarding. You get to call the shots as an entrepreneur. You get to decide what you're doing on a day in, day out basis. I can be here right now talking to you as part of my daily activities. It's just a tremendously freeing experience on every level.
And you took that leap, and the first day that you were out, say from that corporate, now you're all right. I need an office, or you start thinking in an entirely different different ways. I need clients.
Yeah, I need clients. Or what size copy machine do I need to buy from my office? What kind of telephone system am I? There's all kinds of things from the very administrative like that, all the way up to, sort of the very esoteric legal issues. Do I want to take on a client who is an HOA board member to represent the interest of an HOA board versus representing the homeowner? So it goes all the way from the copier to the sort of legal questions of the day, and that's one thing as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner, you have to deal with that. You have to deal with it all. There is nobody else who's accountable.
Whatever decision you make, the buck stops with you.
That's correct.
Whether it's right, whether it was the right size copy machine that you bought or the right phone equipment, that is going to rest and haunt you, for the following day, week, and month, or whatever else. And that's I guess that's the beauty of being an entrepreneur, right? Because you're making those decisions and you're liable to those decisions.
I'm making good decisions, and I'm making mistakes along the way too, and I'm learning from those mistakes. But ultimately, I am accountable for the good decisions. I get the benefits, and I'm also accountable for the mistakes. And so, it's just a very different experience not having a boss.
And so now, right? But so now that you're an entrepreneur, now how do you see yourself growing, or do you want to grow, or do you want to stay as a one-man firm, as a small firm? What is it that is going on in your mind right now?
Well, right now, just in the being in the incubation process, I just want to generate business that can sustain me full time,
right.
And then from there, hopefully grow to an indeterminate number of people at some point down the road. But in the short term, just focusing on short-term goals, business generation, more clients, doing, top-notch legal work, all of the sort of things that you need to do to get off the ground during the incubation process.
Well, I tell you what's going to happen is that in about 2-3 years from now, when you have your firm going already and you got your associates going on and everything else, we're just going to bring you back and kind of do one of those, VH1 shows. Where are they now?
That's right. and that's when you had reached out to me to come and do this interview, I thought, boy, this would be really interesting to document where I'm at right here and now, and a year from now, 2 years from now, be able to come back and watch this video and really appreciate, the journey.
Oh yeah, because it is a journey, and I'm sorry, right, because it is a journey. And we had people that have already kind of coming into their 1-year cycle, coming back and going, all right, yeah, this is what you said right there. There's the script. This is what you said you were going to be in a year or so. What have you done? And time goes by so fast.
Absolutely. So that's my hope too, to be able to come back next year and say, wow, things are amazing. And
do you know any good lawyer jokes?
You're putting me on the spot here.
That's right. I tell you what. Why don't you save it for next time you go?
Next time I come in, I'll have a whole legal pad of legal jokes.
There you go. And with that, we're out.